Welcome to Talking Early Years, a showcase training podcast with Ellen Roberts
and Gemma Carr.
Hello and welcome to today's Talking Early Years podcast. This is our 7th episode in our Safeguarding Shorts series. In this episode, we're going to be discussing social media and safeguarding and what this means to us as practitioners. So let's dive in. Hi, Ellen.
Hi, Gemma.
So what is social media, Ellen?
So the official definition, social media refers to websites, apps and online platforms that allow people to create, share and interact with content and each other. It's used for communication, entertainment, networking, marketing and staying informed. What are common platforms then that we see for social media, Gemma?
So your most common ones, we're talking Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Snapchat, Telegram, X, which used to be Twitter, LinkedIn, if you're a certain demographic of us, but it could also include discussion or community forums like Reddit or Discord. Is there any legislation behind it, Ellen?
There absolutely is. So fairly new really, and bills are still going through to amend this act. It's been in Parliament this week actually. Our local MP for Hampshire, for Gosport in Hampshire, Caroline Dynish, has been talking about this in Parliament this week. So the Online Safety Act of 2023 is specifically designed to protect users, especially children, from harmful content online. It asks for social media platforms to remove illegal content quickly, for example, terrorism and child sexual abuse, and they must have systems to prevent and remove the spread of harmful content, such as bullying. Age verification is needed for social media, although this can be challenging on international platforms. Very hard to police something that is global. And often things like TikTok or Instagram, they will have their age 13, but there's nothing to stop parents from putting their children on their accounts. It may not even be that child's account. Ofcom is it's a separate organisation to the government, but they are responsible for regulation of social media, and they can fine social media companies up to 10% of their global revenue if they find any wrongdoing. So it's quite
that's a big number, isn't it?
It can be huge.
Wow.
We've also got things like the Data Protection Act. So this protects your personal information, and this was updated in 2018 was your GDPR came out. So you've got the Data Protection Act and GDPR, and both of them give you the right to opt in or out of how your data is stored and used. Parental consent is required for all under 13s. Under 13 seems like quite a strange number really, because you would think it was under 16s. The Malicious Communications Act of 1988 and the Communications Act of 2003 both serve to prevent people from sending offensive and threatening messages and also regulate online content. So, for example, under this act, it is illegal to send messages that are indecent, grossly offensive, threatening or false, including harassment, trolling and cyberbullying on social media. It's illegal to send a message that is grossly offensive or of an indecent, obscene or menacing character through a public network as well. So especially where we see things like in the World Cup, for example, there are massive amounts of online hate and abuse, particularly racial abuse towards players, female and male. That is illegal under our Malicious Communications Act 1988 and Communications Act 2003. So what you say online does matter. And it can be traced. So how else does it affect us in our lives, Gemma? What can we see?
So a lot of what we see is, you commonly see it, don't you, the Instagram versus reality, and kind of being aware of what is real and what is not real. What actually do people want us to see and what do people not want us to see? In the olden days, it used to be sort of keeping up with the Joneses, wasn't it? And kind of showing the perfect side, but actually sometimes that isn't the perfect side, and kind of being aware of actually what is real and what is not. Not to say everything's negative with social media, though. It can be very educational as long as we are taking it from the most reliable sources and relevant to your country that you are living in and you are acting in. Be aware of those things. thinking about the growing number of addictions to technology and lowering your attention span is a really big concern in people's lives at the moment. And being aware that you've only got that 30-second snippet that actually means that a lot of people are struggling to watch a film or to watch a whole half an hour episode of things because they are so used to scrolling on social media that attention span has lowered and lowered and lowered, and they don't have the attention span for longer things anymore. So being conscious of that in yourself, as well as protecting your mental health, and try and reduce the time that you're having on apps. Often on phones, we've got the you can set up alarms on your phones to kind of say you've spent this long on social media this week. So being conscious of how much time you're spending on these social medias and kind of what effect that might be having on your mental health.
Absolutely. And it's reassuring as well that we have things like our legislation in the UK that does protect us from things. And as you say, being aware of where you are and which country you are acting within, you need to be compliant with that country's laws and processes. So for example, we quite often say things that are said in other countries or how people behave and act in other countries might not necessarily be legal in the UK or socially normal as well. It might not be something that is a UK thing. So relating again to our British values, things like mutual tolerance and respect, rule of law, those kind of things are what defines us as a nation and as a population. So we do need to remember those
absolutely
individual things when we are operating online. Our Keeping Children Safe in Education 2024 also explores quite a lot about child and child abuse, child criminal and child sexual exploitation. So as practitioners, we need to be aware of the risks to children and what we can do in order to protect them, but also how we can utilize technology and social media for a tool for good. As you say, sharing ideas of things on Pinterest, TikTok, YouTube, and learning new things is a fantastic resource. Connecting with friends and family and learning about local events and news is also a massive benefit of social media. As long as we are applying our critical thinking skills, questioning our sources and making sure that we're using it responsibly, it could be a fantastic resource. So in our settings then, how is social media impacting us?
So like we just said, kind of that tool, thinking about Pinterest, we talk about Pinterest so much, don't we? But it's a great idea, as well as Instagram and Facebook have all got loads of ideas pages, whether that's your pedagogy pages, a radio page, or whether that's even other local nurseries, or not even local. I think that's the enjoyment of it. Not even local nurseries. Those nurseries that are further afield, things that they're doing at the moment, some ideas, some suggestions, some tough trays they've been doing. Thinking about all those different things is really nice to see and a really great way to utilize it.
Definitely.
It's also used, thinking about the Facebook pages, is to promote settings, you know, your marketing of a nursery, you know, you showing off what you've been doing with those children that week. You know, it's lovely. Parents love to see that. Outside prospective parents, old parents, they want to see those kind of things, and it is lovely to kind of have that up to see.
Definitely. I was just going to say, not just of your setting, but as the industry as a whole as well, and promoting early years for what it is, that fantastic start off education for children, and sharing that online is only going to be a good thing.
Showing off what you can do, isn't it?
Absolutely.
One thing I will say, when you are posting on Facebook or Instagram for your company, being aware of what images you are putting up of children, and being aware of your policy, your settings policy, and that consent. So whether those children are allowed on social media. Some nurseries have a blanket rule that you only have images of children's hands in an activity, or no children in the vicinity of the photo at all. So before it's been played with and after it's been played with, almost. So being aware of what your settings policy state in relation to images of children's faces as well.
Absolutely. And I believe we are in a very unique position as practitioners, that we can also educate our parents as well, that we're working with, so the adults, especially because quite often our generation and older didn't have any education about social media, and it's evolved into a landscape that we don't quite understand. So it is a platform for us to educate people on the risk of social media for children, and education to parents about sharing information and images online. We've said it before on our podcast. I still see so many of my friends posting images of their children in their school uniform with the badge clearly displayed and their name, or young children being made celebrities really by social media. There is a risk of harm to that child, and it's about educating people on how to manage that risk, not necessarily telling them just don't do it, although that would be preferable in my safeguarding world, but also managing that risk and understanding what that risk is and where it comes from. There is a risk as well of developmental harm that we don't really know much about yet. It's not been fully explored. It's not old enough yet for the social media to be fully explored, but again, it's having that understanding and awareness so that we can manage that risk and use it as an effective tool, but in a safe way.
Absolutely.
Thank you everybody for tuning in again today. As always, safeguarding is a massive topic for us, but if you've got any concerns, please do reach out to your settings designated safeguarding lead, or to myself, Ellen. I am Showcase Training's safeguarding lead, or you can talk directly to Mash or Lado.
So don't forget to like, share and follow this podcast to stay updated. And as always, let's keep the conversation going about safeguarding in early years. Until next time, take care and keep making a difference.